y'all can hear me, give me just a minute. I am sending the link out to everybody. Getting this sent out to all of our groups, our chats, and then we'll get started. Let me know when you come in. Where are you coming in from? To create crystals, back and type. Okay, getting that in there. Shit. All right. There we go. All right, so we have it all posted. As you come in, let me know you're here. Get that one off. Leave the other one on there. There we go. All right, comments. Let's go to chat. Okay. So I'm going to. There we go. So we don't have a lag problem. If you're here, either put a 1 in comments or let me know. In fact, let me put this up so I can make sure everything stays good. There we go. Put it on my TV. All right. I'm going to test and see how bad the lag is. Yep, it's pretty bad, but that's okay. We're going to do this, y'all. Last week when we did the geode, and I'll show you because I finished all the steps to it now. So here is our geode. I want you to get a good look at this. And on this one, instead of the clusters, I used real quartz. This is a genuine stone. It's not resin created. It's the actual real stone. So that's what I went. I added some glitter lines. I added some veining. So this piece is completely done now. Beautiful. Oh, piece fell off. It's all right. I'll take care of that later. Set that to the side. But when I did that last week, I wasn't sure if I should use my cluster here that I showed you guys, or if I should use the genuine real crystals. And so many people were shocked, which my chagrin. And people weren't shocked at how good these clusters looked, which I thought was the case. They wanted to know where I got the molds at. And let me tell you, everything that I use in this video today, I will add to the description, so it's not there just yet. When I finish, I will add links to where you can get these cluster molds, the transparent inks that I use, the resin, everything that I show you, I'll give you a link to, including where I get my genuine crystals from. I have a girl I get them from, and they're beautiful stones, legitimate. And let me tell you, if you've never felt a real crystal and it's cold, you know it's good. And cold, I press them against my forehead, my face. I love it because it cools me off going through that midlife heat wave. You know what I mean. Anyway, I'll give you a link to her stuff too. And y'all seen my trays that I've made. We've made some of these trays together. And I keep crystals in these trays if I don't sell these. I wanted to keep this one for myself. I kept it and I just put some crystals in there. Good way to display them, show them off, whatever. So let's talk about how we're going to make these. Oh, and here's a cluster that y'all have not seen that I made. I wanted it to look like jade. So I'll tell you the tricks that I used to create that too. You're going to be shocked because it really is super, super simple. And when I break this down for you, you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe that. Crazy. So, let me okay. So I want to test something here. I want to make sure that my chat's working. There it is. Perfect. Okay. So, like I said, if you are not here live with us, that's fine. All these get saved to my YouTube channel under the live tab. You can click on it. If you're part of the rewatch crew, just simply put in comments, hashtag rewatch, so I know that you guys are watching this later, not during live. If you have a better time frame that works for you, leave me a comment about that too. I did put a poll out for my subscribers and added a few additional days because I want to go live again. My goal is to do it twice a week. And I gave them some options. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I believe. And I have varying times. So have a look at that post. Go vote in the poll. Tell me, what days you like best. If there's a time frame that works better, I will try to work that around my home life and men being here and things like that. So I like going live during the day because I don't have to deal with laughter in the background or yelling at a husky or huskies getting excited because somebody's here. So that's why I do this during the day. But if that doesn't work for you, tell me below. We'll work with it. We'll figure something out. Maybe once a month I'll do a night one or something. But for now, let's talk about these molds. These are little cluster molds. And like I said, I'll put the link for you. I know Let's Resin has some crystal cluster molds. They're beautiful. They're bigger than what these are. But first things first, before we do anything, we have to have some resin, right? So I'm going to mix up a small amount of resin. These don't take very much. I have some things on standby that I can pour whatever's left in there. So we're not wasting resin. But let's get our resin mixed up. Hey, Linda. Glad you're here. Like I said, as y'all come in, let me know you're here. And I'm only mixing up 2 ounces. Well, I'll do 3. So 1.5 of A. And I'm using my kitchen scale. This is the first time you've tuned in to my channel. I use a kitchen scale and I have it set to fluid ounces because that is the equivalent of a volume measurement. So I put in 1.5 ounces of A. And I always keep my handy dandy wipes. I'm going to wipe my bottle off and the top spout so I don't have any issues with this locking up. And I only open one bottle at a time. I am using Teexpert regular resin for this. And it doesn't matter. You don't need thicker, thinner. Well, I mean, I guess it's better if you have a thicker resin. But the way that we do this, it really doesn't matter. So now I'm pouring in my part B to 3. Gonna get it to 3, gonna mix it up, and we're gonna talk about some colors. And I'm using all transparent colors. I have found the best effects for my crystals come when I use a transparent color. All right. 3. Gonna wipe this bottle down too. No drippage and no excess around where I put my lid on. That away. And y'all, I'm making this for beginners. So let's talk about mixing resin real quick. Set this out of the way. I'm using sticks I've already used, so I don't have to worry about putting air bubbles into my resin. There is no time frame or time limit, like mix for 5 minutes and stop and you're good. No, that is not how mixing resin works. You stir and mix your resin. Like now, do you see how cloudy this is? It's very cloudy. So we're going to continue mixing and stirring this and scraping our sides down and wiping our sticks down because we want every part of that resin mixed together and combined. So we don't have any weak spots in our resin. So you'll see me scraping sides and I'll scrape the bottom and I scrape my stick, whatever mixing utensil you have. And let me tell you, for those who use automatic mixers, they're great, but you still need to scrape down the sides of your cup, the bottom, and your stick. You still have to mix it, even taking it out of an automatic mixer, because from the paddle, you're going to get drips and all that into your resin. And maybe part of B is still coated and not thoroughly mixed together on that paddle. So if that part B drops into your resin and you pour it in your mold, you're going to have a part of your resin that is the weak part. That's, you'll hear us refer to that. That's what we mean. It's that glob of B that never got completely incorporated together. So keep that in mind when you're mixing. I mix until my resin is clear and I don't see any more streaks or what I call jellyfish. You see these bubbles? I'm not worried about it. See how that floated to the top and popped? Teexpert is great about releasing its own bubbles, and you'll see it's floating up now and they're popping on their own. So I don't worry about that. Now, we'll tell you as a pro tip for these molds, because we do have those intricate points and parts in our mold, we want to make sure that we spritz our mold with isopropyl alcohol. And what that does is it allows, when we pour the resin, for this alcohol to keep the bubbles at bay or provide the tension break that's needed to pop those bubbles. So you're going to see me use this isopropyl alcohol in the spritz bottle. And look, it's just a mist. Hopefully you can see that. It's just misting. It's not spraying like a hard spray on a trigger spray. It just mists the resin. And then, huge important tip, this alcohol must be 91% or higher, because alcohol is going to evaporate off your resin, which you want. If you use under 91%, it's going to sit and puddle on your resin, and it's going to leave a film there. It's not going to let your piece cure completely. So the higher the percentage of alcohol, the faster the alcohol evaporates off your piece, and the less likely you're going to have an issue with that film being on your resin. All right, so first things first. Oh, goodness gracious, did I not grab it? Grab it. I knew I was forgetting something today when I set things up. Let me grab that, because y'all know I'm a huge fan of this Marabu rainbow ink. So this is something you can put in your resin that does not add colorant, but it adds a little sparkle. And if you look closely, you can see the sparkle in these clusters. See that sparkle? That is from this Marabu. Now, that being said, I have been having a problem getting this from Amazon, and you hear the BB when I shake this, because if we don't have that, the sparkle effect will sit at the bottom and we'll have all alcohol. It separates. So the BB allows to get everything off the bottom, mix it all up so it's all incorporated. And I want you to see what happens. I'm only adding a drop or two to this. I'm going to put it up here so you can see it. 1, 2. I'm not adding very much at all. And it's going to give us that beautiful sparkle. See that? That beautiful sparkle in our resin, and it's still clear. So that is one of my big tips, and that is one of the things I use the most when I'm making these crystal clusters. So if you put it on a coaster or whatever piece you want to put it on, the sun will hit it, the light in the room will hit it, and it's going to pick up that little sparkle. And that's what we want. That's what makes it realistic, right? So here we have our resin all mixed up, and you see that sparkle. Beautiful. Now I'm going to let that sit a minute, and I'm going to get, where are they? Here we are. Some little cups. Y'all know I love my 3-ounce bathroom paper cups. So here we have this. I'm going to pour a little bit in there, because honestly, all right, I'm going to pour a little bit. Honestly, to do this, it is simply using clear in your transparent ink. That's all it is. Now, I will tell y'all, for this green that I created, I used teal, the teal transparent, with a tiny drop of black to make it a little darker to create this crystal. And I'll show you how I did it. But I also, dang it. Boy, y'all, I thought I had everything set up ready, all good to go. But I failed once again. So give me a second. Let me grab my tool. I found you. So I use these silicone tip tools that you can get for nails. There's a lot of different uses for them, but they're great for this technique. And you want one that has a pointy end. So I'll set this aside. And I am on my oxygen. I'm sure you hear that machine. But let's talk about how we're going to do these. Okay. Easy step. This is not going to be a long video because this method is super easy. I'm going to pour some resin in these. And that's it. They're not full. See that? They're not completely full at all. Very little amount in here. Now you can pinch and squeeze and get all the bubbles out, whatever you want to do. But let's do an olive green for one. No, let's do the teal and black. I want to show you exactly how I make this cluster. Okay, so I take my teal and make sure that it says on that bottle transparent ink. It should say transparent. And I'm just going to drop. And don't get in a hurry, y'all. Take your time. It doesn't, because if you squeeze really fast, it's not going to be good. So, one little drop. That's it. And y'all saw that was it. Now, I'm taking my tip silicone tool, and I'm not mixing and stirring and all that. I'm just pushing this ink, transparent ink, around so the colors are getting in these little cavities. Okay? So all I'm doing is pushing this ink. I'm not stirring it up. I'm not mixing it. Okay? Keep a handy dandy wipe by so you can clean your tool right off. Like so. Just wipe it down. All good. So it's ready to go again. Now, we're going to add, and I'm just going to use this cup because I'm not going to add color in it. But we're going to add some more resin and stop. And we're going to do the same thing again. See that sparkle there? Isn't that beautiful? So we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to push that resin and colorant together. And we're just going to let the resin do its thing, y'all. Let it dance around. Let it create darkness and lighter pockets. So it gives that natural contrast, right? I wipe my stick down again. And then I'm going to fill the rest of this up so it's completely full, like so. And that's it. That's all it is to it, y'all. How easy is that? Now, you can push this around, push any air bubbles up, and it's going to push the bubble up and suck the resin back down. That's what we want. But I'm going to spritz it with alcohol. I'm going to spritz this with alcohol. And this one, we're going to use this orange. We're going to make it different. And I'm not going to put black or anything else with this. And that's it. I'm not adding any more ink. That's all we're using. Again, see that? And we're just going to take this and push it down. Let it marry with the resin. Get colorant all over. Make sure I get all these little side pockets. Okay, that's it. Wipe our stick off. Done. Now, watch what happens when I pour this. When I pour resin. You see that? See how it just moves around, and you can move it around. Turn it, twist it, squeeze at the bottom of these points. Just let it do its thing. We're very bad about, see that bubbles are just coming up. And we're going to spray some alcohol and pop them. And for these, I also tap them. If they're not completely full, you can tap them like you would a cake on a counter. You know, we tape or tap our cake pans on a counter to get all the bubbles to come up, right? Same thing here. There's another bubble, and it's gone. So then I'm going to finish filling this up with resin, and I'm just going to let it sit. That's it. That's how easy this is, y'all. That's why I said this is so easy. Beginners can master this, no problem. Did that shock you how easy that was? Did you expect it to be more complicated? It's crazy, I tell you. Now, let's talk about this jade effect, how I created this. And I'm going to give you a lesson that I learned the hard way. And you can see the very tip of this is broken off and gone. That is because I thought, well, let me see what happens if I put some of the inks in first in my mold before I do anything. Let's just add some ink in there and then let the resin bring it up and do whatever it wants to do. That's a mistake. And this proves why. When I unmolded this, I had a white glob of ink that was not cured, it was not touched by resin, and it messed up my point on my cluster. It also made a huge mess because if you picked it up, your hands were covered in white ink. So I do not suggest putting these inks into your resin or mold, your silicone molds first. Add a layer of resin, then put your inks in. Then you can add resin. See how that's doing its own thing, y'all? It's going to have different highlights and beauty when it's unmolded. Like, where am I clear? Well, here's the rose gold one. This is a real stone. And you see all the different layers in the way that it has variants of pink and maybe a little white to it. So that's what we're going for. We want this to look natural. Here's another one. And this is a great example with the green we're working with. See the darker tones and the lighter tones. That's what we're going for. That's what makes it look realistic. These molds I highly recommend. They're great. Now we just do our bubble sit. You know that rule. We have to sit, watch for bubbles, use our alcohol. Don't overspray it though, or you're going to leave that film I was talking about. But, y'all, that's as simple as it is. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions about this? Do you have any questions about anything else? I will tell you one question people ask me, and I have tried it. First of all, this pink cluster that I made, I used the pink chrome powder. I put just a little bit and a little bit of resin, and I just straight up poured it into this cluster. So holographic glitters, the pink, the chrome powders, but you have to be very careful. It takes very, very, very little to do this. I don't recommend putting the powders in your resin because you're going to go through that powder super quick if you're adding it to resin. Whereas if you brush it on silicone, it works beautifully and it takes a very, very small amount to cover a lot of area. So you get more bang for your buck if you brush it on your silicone molds as compared to putting it in your resin. And the effects are different. You don't see that chrome holographic effect in this cluster. You see the pink tone, but you don't get that chrome effect that you'll get brushing it on a silicone mold. So that's something else to keep in mind too. People ask, can I use alcohol inks? Well, something we need to remember, and I will add the chart again, or I'll add a video at the end that includes the chart when we talk about colorants, that these transparent inks are like tints. They're the same thing. They will never ever get opaque. They're always going to be see-through. And on the chart, when we talk about alcohol inks are farthest to the right. They're super light. They float up in resin to the top, which would be the bottom of your cluster. They're going to float here and not be incorporated as much down here unless you add a sinker to it. And then you're going to get spores like in the Petri effect. So I don't suggest using alcohol ink with this. I suggest using transparent inks for the most realistic cluster, or you can use a resin dye to fully color your resin and incorporate that color, but not float around and not be all kind of, reactive. I don't recommend mica colors because mica moves in resin and it's always moving toward the center of your piece. So in these clusters, you would have a line across the bottom where all the mica came together to meet in the middle. Okay, so your best bet for this type of project is transparent ink number 1, or a dye or an opaque ink. But that you want to use very sparingly. Don't use a lot, or you're going to have a very solid color. You may be looking for that. That's cool if you are. I'll give you an example of transparent. This is a transparent ink with the rainbow alcohol ink. And you see how sparkly that is in the light, and how you can see my hand underneath it? That's the beauty of transparent inks. So, y'all, unless you have any questions, that's all I have for you today. This was not going to be a long one. I'm glad you're here. And like I said, if you missed it, just comment in comments. Rewatch crew, have a Friday night party, grab your snacks, grab your drinks, learn a new technique. That is super, super easy that beginners can tackle this and find success easy. Now we play the waiting game. That is the hardest with resin. I usually pour my resin at night. I go to sleep. I'm not tempted to put fingerprints on it to check it. None of that. While I'm sleeping, it's doing its thing. When I wake up, most of the time, it's ready to come out. If it's not, I'll go get my coffee, do my mom chores, and then it's ready to be removed. So keep that in mind too. But you guys, make sure you give this a thumbs up. That allows other artists to find this and also learn how to make crystal clusters, oh my goodness, on their own using this simple technique. But y'all, that's all I have for today. Until next time, happy arting. Have a wonderful weekend with your family and your friends. And we'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.